Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, production by iHeartRadio.
And we are smack dab in a Native American Heritage Month, so we wanted to talk about a few feminist Indigenous organizations around the world for our Activist Around the World segment, because, that's what we love to do. As per usual, there are many amazing organizations doing an amazing amount of work out there, but we have limited time, so we've just narrowed down 3. We tried to kind of expand it. I think it ended up being in North America, not on purpose. But, that's what we're going to look at now. I probably will do this again next week because, again, I found several cool organizations and then subset of organizations that I think we need to talk about. And when it comes to activists around the world, the Indigenous community, specifically women and Two-Spirited Indigenous community, do a lot of work to not only protect and preserve their culture, but the land in general, so which helps everyone. They are kind of at the forefront when it comes to activism. So, yes, we'll probably talk a little more about some of the amazing organizations. So we are starting off with an organization from the U.S., the Not Our Native Daughters, or NOND, and this is from their website, notournativedaughters.org. Quote, Not Our Native Daughters, NOND, is a dedicated force in the fight against the trafficking, exploitation, and murder disproportionately affecting Indigenous persons, with a specific focus on missing, murdered, and Indigenous women and girls. So the MMIW, which we have talked about previously, I believe I've featured some organizations that have worked for this specific cause before. But not this specific one. So they go on to say, as a national organization, NOND passionately pursues justice, equity, and healing, recognizing the urgent need to address the deeply rooted issues stemming from the legacies of colonialism and slavery. They are an Indigenous-led organization that have been working to empower and advocate for their community. They offer different programs, including for the Indigenous youth. So this is again from their site. Quote, we work alongside Native youth through initiatives like our Indigenous Youth Voices program, fostering leadership, education, and cultural preservation. In addition to our advocacy efforts, we provide technical assistance, training, and presentations on a broad range of Indigenous issues, from MMIP to human trafficking, environmental justice, and more. Through policy reform, community engagement, and healing practices, we are committed to creating a future where Indigenous women and youth are safe, supported, and empowered to lead the fight for justice, equity, and healing. Which we love anything when we see the youth being able to take on mentors or be mentored by others in this type of fights and justice, because there's so much to be said. I think we need to come back and have another conversation about the MMIW because there's still nothing being done. Unfortunately, our administration doesn't see this as an issue and has harmed a lot of the policies and a lot of the laws and a lot of doctrine in general to help the MMIW causes, which is really concerning. And I've seen more and more reported that there's quite a bit of missing persons cases that are just being swept under the rug still. So I think we have to come back and have a bigger conversation of that in the status in the U.S. So the organization laid out a specific campaign which works to create awareness and justice for the Indigenous community, as well as work actively to protect the women and children in the Indigenous communities, including the fact that they are trying to align with law enforcement and different agencies to trying to have any progress, I guess is the best way to put it. So their campaign has several parts to it, including having community sessions to hear the voices of their Indigenous communities and share insights and needs, again, through diverse voices, educating and bringing awareness with the MMIWG community. They also are trying to bridge the communications and work with law enforcement agencies and also do restorative justice for the community in general. So some pretty big works.
Yes. Next, we have the Native Women's Association of Canada. Founded in 1974, the organization has worked to fight for the Indigenous communities by bringing attention to the needs and important issues of the people. From their site, nwac.ca, quote, We are a national Indigenous organization that defends the rights, delivers programming to, and amplifies the perspectives of Indigenous women, girls, two-spirit, transgender, and gender diverse, or WG2STGD+. People across in Canada, inclusive of First Nations, on and off reserve, status and non-status, disenfranchised, Métis, and Inuit. And a bit more about what they do, quote, today, NWAC engages in national advocacy aimed at legislative and policy reforms to promote equality for Indigenous women, girls, two-spirit, transgender, and gender diverse people. Through advocacy, policy, and legislative analysis, NWAC works to preserve Indigenous culture and advance the well-being of all Indigenous WG2STGD+ people, as well as their families and communities. NWAC works on a variety of issues, including employment, labor and business, health, violence prevention, and safety, justice and human rights, active citizenship, and environmental issues impacting Indigenous peoples in Canada.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to organizations, Canadians really do have a forefront in working with Native peoples, specifically in North America. So they do have some amazing organizations. I'm sure we'll find some more. And then lastly, for this segment, we have the Women's Earth Alliance, or the WEA, in conjunction with Feminists. So this amazing organization has a collective of Indigenous women's leaders that work for Indigenous land rights in 5 Mexican states. It started in 2013. This Mexican women-led grassroots organizations work to hold the Mexican government accountable when it comes to the development of lands and protecting traditional lands. A bit more information from their site, women'searthalliance.org. Indigenous women in 4 states across Mexico made significant strides in securing rights to their traditional lands, which are being undermined by new land reform laws in a time where high rates of men are migrating to cities, leaving land vulnerable to the land grabs. The organization works in tandem with Feminists. So here's what they say about them. Feminists, Sociedad Mexicana Pro Derechos de la Mujer AC, based in Mexico City, is the largest fund dedicated to women's causes in the country. Feminists works closely with small and emerging women's organizations and women's leaders in the common goal of improving the status of women in Mexico. So this project and organizations have been innovative and inspirational for so many, again, from their site. At its onset, each Indigenous women leader had the opportunity to design and implement activities to promote women's lands rights in a way that was responsive to the local needs in her community. Workshops were held to support these leaders using the Guatemaltese model, which focuses not only on women's rights and land rights, but also on personal development, physical development, spiritual development, cultural history, and self-esteem. So these organizations like this work specifically as we see so many issues when it comes to socioeconomic status. So men leaving the home, trying to find better opportunities, better money, leaving lands vulnerable for corporations and greedy individuals to take opportunity and claim lands that are traditionally to Indigenous peoples. So it's really dangerous times. Why does it feel like we've gone back like 100 years, 200 years?
Yeah.
What is this? God. Anyway, so with organizations like this, they see a need and focus. Women have really stepped up in learning and taking workshops and being mentored to become advocates for themselves and their lands. So we've always known when it comes to, once again, stepping up and protecting areas and lands, Indigenous women are there and have always been there. So seeing organizations like this that step up and work with grants and different programs to make sure that they're able to do this is great to see.
Yes, it really is. And as mentioned, we are going to be coming back and talking about some more of these organizations. But as always, listeners, if you have any resources, if you work with any of these organizations, anything like that, we would love to hear from you. You can email us at hello@stuffwhanevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff One Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at Comp Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.